directly back to the issues. So I never had to sit and wonder, okay, that's a remedy, but what was that a remedy for again? Okay, everything gets tied back to the ethical issues. And when I heard those, I wrote some of them down, and I'm waiting to see, okay, is this one addressed? Is this one addressed? Is this one addressed? And is it reasonably easy for me to see that it is? And so those of you that really got those ethical issues out and gave the recommendations that were well tied to that really did an excellent job with that. There's also a wide range of stakeholders, and the most creative presentations I thought were the ones that identify the less obvious stakeholders. When we say stakeholders, oftentimes the first we go towards as business people is the shareholders, and there's nothing wrong with that. But who are the other stakeholders? Well, sometimes it's easy. It's our customers, it's our suppliers, et cetera, et cetera. But you need to always look beyond and say, who are some of the less obvious stakeholders here? And a lot of you did a really nice job of going beyond the obvious, which was excellent. Also, a lot of you went back to mission. Some people think mission statements are just, a bunch of crap. You just pick something out of column A and something out of column B, and then you column C, and you got a mission statement. Well, it actually is more important than people think, because it becomes your guide as your moral compass. And you need to have a compass in order to have something to look back upon to see which direction that you're going in. So when you're able to tie it back to mission, as some of you were able to do, that was an excellent thing to do as well. Now let's move on to some more general presentation items here, more general about communication. And this is something that seems to be trouble for a lot of people. I saw a lot of this today in the 30-minute, some in the 90-second, and a little bit here tonight. And that's the concept of audience analysis. Audience analysis is the ability to get into the shoes of your audience, to see your presentation as your audience does. And part of the reason that you were told to come up with an audience, who is it you're talking to, was it so that we could really take a good look at how's your audience analysis. Now, in some cases, even though you knew that I was on the board of XYZ company, you kept referring to XYZ company as they, rather than you, because I'm the board member. And so you're talking about my company in the third person by saying they. There are also times when, and again I saw this a lot today, that you can either be with your audience or you can be at your audience. And sometimes I felt that you were getting at me, scolding me, berating me, and I'm not saying I didn't deserve it as a board member, but what I'm saying is if I hired you as a consultant, I didn't hire you to sit and tell me how awful I am without a good backup for it. So audience analysis is just hugely, hugely important. Always understand as much as you can about your audience, and be careful to address every single thing you can to them, looking out for their best interests. Some of the best presentations tonight had a structure to them that I could easily go back and say, I see exactly what they were doing. Here's this, here's that, here's this ties to this. Some of you had a really nice conclusion. Always good to have a conclusion, because there's this thing called the recency effect. And the recency effect states that what people hear last is something that's going to stick with them. And that's the reason why we need conclusions. Conclusions are restating the main takeaways. As our society gets a little bit more ADD, if you will, and I'm not referring to the actual condition, I'm just saying that there's so much information coming at us, it becomes more difficult for us to be able to retain information. That's why conclusions are important. So you restate where it was. That old adage, you ever hear this, tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them? That's very old, but it still seems to fit. So keep that in mind. The last things you tell your audience is something that they're always going to remember. And when I got that from you, I thought that was just great. So we got the structure, and then we have the tie back. And the last thing in this, we do a lot of, I do a lot of judging in competitions, and so I listen to what other judges have to say. So this is not just me talking, this is what a lot of judges will say. A lot of them are executives in organizations. If you're going to convince your audience that you are credible, that you are knowledgeable, that you are passionate, that you believe in what you're saying, you gotta get beyond note cards. I know that in a lot of classes as we grew up, and maybe sometimes in undergraduate as well, people say, well, it's okay to have one note card to keep you on schedule with where you're at. No, not really. If you really know what you're going to be talking about and you've spent your time designing, it should be able to flow directly from you without you having to look at note cards. I understand the reason for it. I have a specialty in public speaking anxiety. I understand some of the reasons that people use them. But try and keep in mind that the effect that it has on your audience does diminish your message. It does diminish your perceived credibility. So do the best you can in working on that. All in all, again, I think everyone really brought up some great points, and it was just a pleasure to hear all of you. Before we adjourn, does anybody have any questions at all? Of either me or of each other? We've heard some interesting stories that you want to... This part is not part of judging, so it's already decided. No, we're in free territory. Everybody okay? Everyone's a little bit tired? Okay, well, first off, I'd like you all to give yourselves a hand for a great job. And since this is our last event on behalf of Ibecc, on behalf of LMU and St. Thomas and ECOA, we really want to thank you for participating in the competition this year. Competition has been growing every year, and we had, I believe it was 25 organizations, which is great, from all over the world. So you all have wonderful things to put on your resume now, because this has become the most important business ethics competition in the country, if not the world. So you did a really great thing for your school. You did a really great thing for the field of ethics by being here, and we want you to know how much we appreciate it. And we hope we'll see you next year in Tucson, is where we will be. So thank you. Have a great night. Enjoy your time.